co-host 8 years before. Everyone's stunned by the fury of Lewis's attack.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before we get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to have a podcast. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT. Prize Fighter. Mike Mazik. Let's talk fashion. Salute to everyone. And welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Box Storian. Today, boxing in the States, North Dakota. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Storian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Thursday afternoon edition of Cat Sports, the Box Storian. We got Boxing in the State series continues today with North Dakota. I see prize fighter putting some names in there. I'm writing them down and looking them up right now. Yeah, we got a couple of significant events that happened in North Dakota. Of course, Quicksilver, Virgil Hill, from Missouri, but fought out of North Dakota. And we're going to talk about him today. And Muhammad Ali got stranded there during a blizzard one time. I think it was 1969. When he was, at the time, he was banned from boxing. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And stranded and took it to the train station. Then he gave an interview. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. The time Muhammad Ali got stranded there. And then a couple boxing clubs out there. Virgil Hill. Doc Kearns, the promoter, was from, manager / promoter was from North Dakota. Yeah, we're going to look at him a little. But how's everybody today? It's Thursday afternoon. Mike Rim. What's up, Mike Rim? How are you today? Yeah, I'm writing down these names. Prize fighter, put them in there, looking them up right now. You know, I wish I could have got with prize fighter before the show, but hey, I'm gonna find them. But what's up, Mike Rim? How are you today? Don't forget, tomorrow the profile this week is the life and career of the Brown Bomber himself, Joe Louis. Yep, that's tomorrow. But now, 2 to 2:30, it's time for the segment Highlights of Boxing History. And what we've been doing this week, we've been looking at, Ring Magazine started naming a fight and fighter of the year in 1922. And we've been looking at it. We're going to look at every fight and fighter of the year, a decade per day, and we're up to the 40s now. I don't think, have they named it for this year yet? I guess by the time we go through all of them, we'll have it by the time we get to the 2020s. But yeah, it should be Usyk. Usyk for me, fighter of the year. Fight of the year is Virgil Ortiz and Sergio Bohachuk. Or Beterbiev Bivol, one of them two. But if I had my choice, I would go with Virgil and Bohachuk. Yeah, because they came out there and every round, they went right back to the middle of that ring and started throwing hands, man. Wasn't no backup in neither one of them. I thought Bohachuk won, but you can't be mad. They gave it to Virgil. I don't know how. He's the one went down 2 times. Close fight like that. I thought those knockdowns was the difference. But hey, Turkey Al-Sheikh they was talking about Bud and Virgil at that time. So, close fight, Virgil was getting it. So hey. But yeah, let's talk about highlights of boxing history. Some fighting fighters of the year, starting with the 1940s today. Okay, we're gonna look at every fight of the year, every fighter of the year from 1940 to 1949, right now. Okay, and there's these two had a 4-fight series. A couple of them was in the 40s. I think, 1, 2, and 3 was in the 40s, I believe. 2 and 3 was actually 3 weeks apart. Number 2 between Jake and Sugar Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson, was February 4th, 1943. No, February 5th, 1943. And the third fight was February 24th, 1943. No, I didn't get the years wrong. 3 weeks later, right? And then Jake fought somebody else 2 weeks after that. Jake had like 3 fights in about a little over a month. That's how they did it back then. Okay. But the fight of the year for 1940 was Severino Garcia versus Homicide Hank. Henry Armstrong. Okay. On March 9th, 1940, after defeating Lou Ambers for the lightweight title, Armstrong successfully defended his welterweight title by fighting to a draw with future middleweight champion Severino Garcia. Turned out to be fight of the year. And the fighter of the year for 1940 was Billy Conn. Billy Conn went 5-0 in 1940 with wins over Gus Lesnovich twice and Bob Pastor, both future Hall of Famers. Billy Conn, 5-0 for the year. 1941 fight of the year was Joe Louis versus Billy Conn. Remember, we talked about that one. June 18th, 1941 at the Polo Grounds in New York. Billy Conn, he was outweighed by 26 pounds. He lost to Joe Louis, right? Joe Louis knocked him out in the 13th round. But Conn was ahead on all three judges' scorecards going into the 13th round before he got knocked out, right? And he was giving Joe Louis a boxing lesson, but he decided to abandon his boxing and stand toe-to-toe with Joe Louis, one of the greatest finishers in the history of boxing, and got knocked out. That was the fight of the year, too. And the fighter of the year was Joe Louis, 1941. Joe Louis, this is his fourth time winning the award, too. He went 7-0 in 1941, including the come-from-behind win against Billy Conn in the fight of the year. 7 for 7 for the Brown Bomber in 41. Okay, in the fight of the year for 1942, it was Willie Pep versus Chalky Wright, won their first fight. Willie Pep versus Chalky Wright, won. On November 14th, 1942, Pep used well-timed left jabs effectively at many points in the fight, which was not entirely one-sided. The AP gave Chalky Wright 4 rounds, including the 5th through the 7th, but strongly favored Willie Pep, who won decisively by unanimous decision by 11 rounds to 4 at Madison Square Garden. Willie Pep versus Chalky Wright. In 1942, the fighter of the year was Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay? Sugar Ray. In 1942, Sugar Ray Robinson had 14 fights. Okay? Ending the year with a perfect record, 14 for 14. He had wins over Fritzy Zivic, Sammy Angut, and his famous 6-fight series with Jake LaMotta began in 1942. Fighter of the year, 42, Sugar Ray Robinson, 14-0 for the year, okay? Fight of the year for 1943 was Bojack versus Bob Montgomery 2. It was the second fight. Yeah, Bojack, Bob Montgomery, Ike Williams, they all had 3 or 4 fights against each other. Any combination of those two against each other in the 40s is a good old fight to watch. Bojack, Bob Montgomery, Ike Williams. And Bojack and Bob Montgomery 2 was 1943's fight of the year. On November 19th, 1943, Bojack and Bob Montgomery fought a close competitive fight for the New York State Athletic Commission title at Madison Square Garden. Bojack won by a razor-thin 15-round split decision, okay? And the fighter of the year was Fred Ospitali. Now, there wasn't much action in the boxing ring in 1943 due to World War II, okay? So Ospitali was awarded the Fighter of the Year award because of his contributions to the war effort, okay? He won it for his contributions to the war effort because there wasn't much fighting going on at all at that time because of the war, okay? 1944's Fighter of the Year was Bob Montgomery versus Bojack 3, okay? So yeah, 2 and 3 won back-to-back years. Fight of the year for Bob Montgomery and Bojack 3. Okay. Now in the third fight, Montgomery versus Bojack, this fight took place, this is 1944, yeah, 1944's Fight of the Year, Bob Montgomery versus Bojack 3. Now, Montgomery defeated Bojack by a 15-round split decision again, reclaiming the lightweight title at Madison Square Garden, March 3rd, 1944. Another split decision. And the fighter of the year that year was Bojack. Bojack won 6 of 7 fights in 1944, with 3 of them coming against future Hall of Famers. Bojack, 1944's fighter of the year. Fight of the year for 1945. Rocky Graciano versus Fred Cochran. Rocky Graciano versus Fred Coughlin won. That was the first fight between those two. Oh, is that Red Coughlin? Red Coughlin. Okay. Now, Graciano beat Coughlin by knockout in round 10 of a 10-round fight. Now, Graciano was outboxed in the first 8 rounds, but he knocked Coughlin down at the end of the 9th round. Coughlin was saved by the bell, but Coughlin was knocked down again in the 10th round and was counted out. This fight took place on December 29th, 1945. Where else? At the Garden. See, like all the big fights was at the Garden, the Polo Grounds, or Yankee Stadium in New York around that time. And the fighter of the year for 1945 was Willie Pep. Willie Pep had 8 fights in 1945, winning 7, losing none. He had 1 draw. He beat former world champion Phil Terranova, and he had a 10-round draw with Jimmy McAllister, Hall of Famer. Okay, Willie Pep, 45 fighter of the year. Okay, then Thomas Hill, hashtag JBT, in the building. What's up, Thomas Hill? How are you today? Yeah, we are talking about North Dakota. Prize fighter got me looking up names as we go. Let's salute Thomas Hill. Yeah, we're gonna have some time to talk about the best fighter from every state later on in the show too. That's the backup plan. We're gonna talk about the best fighter from every state. I think we're up to Delaware. Remember, we started it last week. But let's finish the fighter of the year so we can get on to the show. This is highlights of boxing history, 2 to 2:30 every day. 1946 fight of the year was Tony Zale versus Rocky Graciano 1. They had a great trilogy. The first one won fight of the year for 46. On September 1946. Yeah, this is 46. Got 47 on there. I was doing this like 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. On September 26, 1946, Tony Zale knocked Rocky Graciano out at 1:43 of round 6 at Yankee Stadium. This was their first of 3 meetings. Now, Graciano was down for a 5 count in the first round, but he came back and dropped Zale in the second round. So then both fighters continued to pound away at each other until Zale fired a big right hand to Graciano's body, followed by a left hook to the chin. That finished the affair in round 6. Great fight. Zale Graciano won. Yep. Zale took it. Knockout in round 6. And the fighter of the year was Tony Zale. Zale had 8 fights in 46. He won 7 of them. Okay, including the dramatic knockout of his arch rival Rocky Graciano that won fight of the year. Tony Zale was in the fight of the year for 46, and he was fighter of the year. Okay. All right. 1947 fight of the year. Rocky Graciano, Tony Zale too. They won it back-to-back years. Graciano, Tony Zale too. Now, the first 2 Zale versus Graciano battles are legendary. And the second clash saw Graciano become champion of the world, winning by 6-round TKO. Isn't that something? Both of them ended in the 6th round. Zale got Graciano in the first one. Graciano wins the second by 6-round TKO, right? And the fight took place on July 16th, 1947 at Chicago Stadium, Chicago, Illinois. And the fighter of the year was Gus Lesnovich. Gus had 4 fights in 47, winning all 4 of them. Beat Billy Fox, Melio Bettina, and Tammy Mariotto twice. Highlights of boxing history. Let's go over some fights of the year, fighters of the year for the 1940s. Just got a couple more. 48 and 49. Okay, 1948. Fight of the year. Frenchman. Marcel Cerdan versus Tony Zale. On September 28th, 1948, Cerdan won by a 11th round TKO over Zale. And Cerdan came into the fight as a 2-1 underdog, right? Zale was favored to win this one. But the fight took place at Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City, New Jersey. And the fight was for the middleweight world championship, which was held by Zale coming into the fight, the favorite. And the fighter of the year for 48 was Ike Williams, okay? And Ike had a record in 48 of 10 wins with no losses, okay? Including wins over Kid Gavilan and Bojack, both former world champions and both Hall of Famers. Ike was 10 for 10 and had big wins over big names like Kid Gavilan, Bojack. Again, both Hall of Famers, both former world champions. Big year for Ike Williams in 48. And finally, 1949, the fighter of the year was Willie Pep again versus Sandy Sadler. 2. Willie Pep versus Sandy Sadler 2. This was the second of that 4-round series they had. And Pep's only win in the 4-fight series with Sadler came on February 11th, 1949 at Madison Square Garden. Now, some people call this the best performance of Pep's career. It was an exquisite 15-round unanimous decision in the second installment of the awards. And the win enabled Pep to regain the 126-pound title he had relinquished to Sadler the year before in 1948. Yep. And the fighter of the year for 1948 was Ezra Charles. In 1940, wait a minute, how did I get to 1949? This is 1949, right? Yeah, 1949. Fighter of the year for 1949 was Ezra Charles. Yeah, Pep and Sadler was 49. And in 1949, Ezra Charles won the National Boxing Association World Heavyweight title by defeating Jersey Joe Walcott in a 15-round unanimous decision. Great fight. Okay? Charles also had 4 other fights in 1949, including against Joey Maxim and Gus Lesnevich. Again, both former world champions and both Hall of Famers. Great year for Ezra in 49. He won the World Heavyweight Championship from Jersey Joe Walcott and had 2 great fights against 2 legendary champions and Hall of Famers, Joey Maxim and Gus Lesnevich. Y'all have heard me talk about them before. Okay, so now, yeah, North Dakota. Ooh, excuse me, I got so much stuff out up here. It's crazy because I went and got me a bigger desk only to put more stuff on it. I should have just kept the smaller desk because they end up with the same amount of space. You know, bigger desk, I think you can put more stuff on it now. So just defeated the whole purpose. Still knocking stuff over every day. But yeah, boxing in the States, North Dakota today. And then time permitting, we're going to pick back up with the best boxers from every state. We're up to Delaware. Okay. Like, Sonny Liston was Arkansas, and Michael Carbajal was Arizona. Yeah. No, Michael Carbajal he was Arizona. And yeah, we had a few others. California, I forgot who it was. We'll see it again if we get to it today. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to still looking up some of these names Prize Fighter gave me. I'm sorry. You don't forget the JBT meet and greet, $30. We'll get you a ticket. And that $30 ticket will get you a chance to win a ticket to the fight. Now I don't remember where I wrote the names down at. Oh, there they go. March 28th, the day before the Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach squares off. Yeah. Or you can spend $25, gets you 3 chances. But you spend the $30, get a ticket to the meet and greet, and get a chance to win a ticket to the fight. Good food. Meet some of the content creators and some of the other members of the JBT there. at the event, New York City, March 28th. Be there. And then if you can't attend, you can still give a donation. It's going to a good cause. The JBT. Okay? See you there, March 28th. Monster is this morning, right? Well, tomorrow morning. Might as well say today because it's a few hours. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got Arthur Cook, prize fighter. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about Arthur today and the Pudwill brothers. Yes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're going to be talking about North Dakota. Just a few significant events that occurred there over the years concerning boxing. We're going to get started at 2:30. It's bad luck to begin before 2:30. Pudwill brothers. All right. Yeah, I got the Pudwill brothers. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, prize fighter. Okay, let's get ready to get into it then. The Boxing in the State series continues today with North Dakota. Anybody come into the building? Let me see. Can't miss nobody. There we go. Yeah. All good. Thomas Hill in here. I dropped the link yesterday, T. Hill, to see what you thought about the Cuban boxing style, but you had left. But the other three kings of the panels up here with me, Ant McQueen, Define Arnie, and Javil Hattie. 4 kings of the panel. Thomas Hill, Javil Hattie, Define Arnie 1, and Ant McQueen. I'm like Benitez. I'm the fifth one. I'm left out. Only 4 kings in the deck. So I'm the 5th king of the panel. Okay. Damn, it's still only 2:28, man. Yeah, we got Andy Cruz Saturday. I did not know that. But just a few days, it's fight week for the big one. This is really the first big one of the year. Benavidez versus Morrell. I got Benavidez. Like I keep saying, I'm big on experience, but I won't be surprised if okay, T. Hill had catering. Okay, if Morrell pulls it off, but I don't expect it. I think Benavidez will win it. Then a couple weeks later, we got Benavidez and Bivol, right? And then just a couple of days after that, we got Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Benavidez and Bivol, that's on a Wednesday, right? Just 2 or 3 days before Roach. And no. When is that? February 22nd? Let me check, man. I don't know what I'm doing. Is that fight's the 22nd, right? I'm always messing something up. Had the calendar up here. And we're gonna get started. February. No, it's on a Saturday. My bad. I keep thinking it's the 26th. The week before Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Let's get started. It's 2:30. Okay, it's safe. Boxing in the States, North Dakota. Yeah, Diego Pacheco and Steven Nelson. That could be good. That's the card that Andy Cruz is on. Yeah, that could be good. Yeah, I was talking about what T. Hill put in the chat there. Yeah, that could be a good one there, man. Yes. Okay. Now, North Dakota's boxing history includes a former world champion, a legendary boxing promoter, and a large number of indigenous female boxers. Let's talk about the legendary boxing promoter first. That's Jack Doc Kearns. I'm through with you, Sugar Ray and Jake. There's Jack Doc Kearns and he was a manager for Jack Dempsey. Yeah, that's him and Jack Dempsey right there. Okay. Let's talk about Jack Doc Kearns, legendary boxing promoter. Now, Jamestown, North Dakota was at least a temporary home to a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Jack Doc Kearns is best known as the manager of boxing legend Jack Dempsey. It was Kearns who arranged the fight between Dempsey and George Carpenter in 1921, right? This fight was the first professional boxing match where ticket sales exceeded $1 million, right? At the gate, $1 million gate, first one. Jack Doc Kearns arranged that one, right? As Jack Dempsey's manager. Now, the fight was also the first broadcast live on radio. At least in the New York City area, it was. You know, anybody else don't know about any other fights being broadcast on radio before that either, okay? And it was also one of the first fights that allowed female spectators. Told you, I'm learning too. I did not know that. Jack Dempsey, George Carpenter, one of the first professional boxing matches that allowed female spectators. 1921. Wow. That's crazy though, because you try to get all the money you can get. Females' money is just the same as the males' money, right? So they should have been allowed to come. Now, it is difficult to ascertain what part that Kearns played in arranging that legendary fight, or where or how long he lived in Jamestown, North Dakota. But we do know he returned to Jamestown in February of 1936 for a visit, right? Newspapers of the era noted it was his first return to North Dakota since his family had left the area, okay? First return in 1936. Now, Kearns himself was a boxer, competing in 67 fights as a lightweight and welterweight, right? Although he was probably more successful as a manager / promoter, okay? But there was some split decisions in that field as well. Kearns and Dempsey reportedly sued each other over financial mismanagement in the 1920s. Yeah, they had their differences. Yeah, Kearns was the one when after Kearns put it, he made this letter and he wanted to be sealed until after his death. Then he claimed that when Dempsey beat, I think it was Jess Willett, he wrapped foreign objects inside of Dempsey's hand wraps. But Kearns lied because Dempsey had fired him and he was trying to make him look bad. That's why he said seal it until after his death, because Ring Magazine founder, a very reputable guy, that Fleischer, said he was present when Dempsey's hands were wrapped for that fight. He said not only did Doc Kearns not wrap foreign objects in his hand wraps, Doc Kearns didn't even do the hand wrapping. So he was lying, right? Because he was bitter about being fired. And then they sued each other over financial mismanagement in the 20s. This was around the time where that happened, where the firing happened and everything, right? So reportedly, Dempsey gave Kearns his nickname Doc sometime before he fired him. Okay, so he got that nickname from Jack Dempsey. And the Los Angeles Times referred to Kearns as one of the great sports con men of all time. The Los Angeles Times called him one of the great con men in sports of all time, Jack Doc Kearns, okay? So, the biography of Kearns published by the Boxing Hall of Fame does not mention the manager's time in Jamestown. Mentions nothing about Jamestown, North Dakota in his biography. Instead, it notes he grew up in Washington State and participated in the Yukon Gold Rush before starting his boxing career in Montana. Okay, he had left North Dakota by that time. He started his boxing career and everything. Now we can assume the time he and his family resided in Jamestown was brief and probably in the 1890s, right? Because there are no newspaper accounts of him boxing in North Dakota. But in 1936, when he came back to visit, he was managing a featherweight boxer named Nick Scalia, who had a fight in Fargo, North Dakota. That's why he was back in North Dakota at that time. And he did take a little time to stroll his old haunts in Jamestown, right? A humble beginning for a man who would arrange many of the fights in professional boxing during his career. Jack Doc Kearns. Okay, that's him on the left. Now let's talk about the time where Muhammad Ali got stranded in North Dakota. He came through in a blizzard, driving from, this was at the time, he was actually suspended from boxing, well, banned from boxing at that time. His license had been revoked. His titles had been stripped. He was banned at this time, and his wife and a friend was driving from New York to California to do some speaking engagements. And Ali didn't like flying. If he didn't have to fly, he would take the train or drive. He did not like flying. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, Muhammad Ali was knocked out by a North Dakota blizzard, okay? Then did a TV interview about it. Now, you ask any boxing expert who Muhammad Ali's toughest opponents were, and you're likely to hear names like Smoking Joe Frazier, Big George Foreman, and Ken Norton. But no one knocked out the greatest of all time quite like Mother Nature. On January 27, 1969, Ali was stranded in Fargo, North Dakota during a blizzard when his car got stuck in a snowbank outside of town. The champ, his new wife, Khalila Ali, and a friend were driving from their home in New York City to the West Coast, where Ali was scheduled to do some college speaking engagements, right? That's how he made money. Well, during his time when he was banned back then, he went around and spoke at college campuses because a lot of colleges was boycotting the Vietnam War, and they liked Ali's stance, and so they would invite him to speak to the students. Yeah, and that's where he was on his way to when he got stranded in North Dakota this day. But they ran into some dicey weather on the northern plains. Ali later said, "I was told not to go that way because the weather was tough." He said, "I didn't pay any attention to the warning. I didn't believe I would be stopped. So I decided to drive that way." And we get about 50 miles outside of Fargo, North Dakota, and ran into a ditch and got stuck. And some nice people came by and took us into town. Okay? So when Ali and his wife and their friend got to town, they ended up at the local train station, where WDAY sportscaster Boyd Christensen and local reporter Dan Nelson heard they were there, and they got rushed down there and interviewed him, right? Now, Ali, who is arguably the greatest sports personality of all time, he didn't shy away from talking about everything, from the local weather, boxing, to race relations, finances, and his young new wife, good cooking. His new bride's good cooking, okay? Now, Ali's time in Fargo came at an interesting period in his life. Like I was telling you, it was during the time that he had been stripped of his title as world champion, and he was currently banned from the sport of boxing when that happened. It was 1969, remember? So in the interview, the sportscaster Christensen asked Ali if he'd ever box again. And Ali told him it depends on how his upcoming court case ended, right? And later, when that court case was settled in Ali's favor the following year in 1970, he did box again. And he said he had held no ill will toward the government. He said they just thought they were doing what was right. And Ali said he just thought he was doing what was right. So no ill will. But that day at the train station in Fargo, North Dakota, Ali enjoyed his time with the local citizens. He signed autographs, chatted with the people, and the reporter Nelson said most fans approached Ali apprehensively, and they were careful to make sure they called him by his Muslim name, right? Now, based on Christensen's and Nelson's stories, the two reporters, it was clear Ali enjoyed his unexpected time in Fargo with his fans. He even performed some of his boxing moves for them, including his famous Ali Shuffle, right? Okay, but he didn't stay long. Now, Nelson noted even if planes had been flying during the blizzard, which they were not, Ali would not have taken one because he didn't like to fly. But around 2 p.m., Ali, his wife, and their friend boarded the train out of Fargo, leaving their car behind and also leaving behind a strong story for Fargo residents to tell over dinner for years to come. Yep, the day Muhammad Ali got stranded in Fargo, North Dakota. Yep, the blizzard stopped the greatest, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting little story. Significant event that occurred in North Dakota. Well, when was it again? 1969. January 27th, 1969. Yeah, he had his license was stripped at that time, and he was banned at that time, remember? He was just getting ready to come back. 1970, that next year. Okay, let's look at this. The Bob Walsh Boxing Club, okay? There's a few boys and girls boxing clubs around North Dakota around that time. This one is called the Bob Walsh Boxing Club, okay? An interesting story. Now, and then later we're going to get into the some more best boxers from every state too. The Bob Walsh Boxing Club. Okay, I deserve a drink. Has everybody's thirsty going. Don't miss tomorrow. It's the Brown Bomber. And all this time we've been doing profile, I cannot believe we never did Joe Louis. I had to check like 3 times, but his name is not on the list. And I remember we did Joe Louis? I don't think so. So we'll be doing them tomorrow. I could have sworn. I know we did Sugar Ray, Ali, Floyd, all the big names. No, we didn't do Ali because I'm saving him for old school. Me and William Old School and Rand supposed to do a joint show on Ali eventually. So I'm saving Ali for that day. Yeah. I know I haven't did him. Right? Okay. But what was I doing now? Oh, I seriously forgot. The Bob Walsh Boxing Club. I'm old, see? Yeah, the Bob Walsh Boxing Club. Let's talk about that. Now, anyone who has an interest in boxing can find a club in which to compete or just work out. Now, all the major cities have boxing and or martial arts clubs. And many of the smaller communities have opened boxing clubs to bolster the activity of their young people. Unfortunately, boxing isn't a sanctioned sport in high school, like football, baseball, or basketball is. It used to be, like in the old days, yeah. They had high school boxing, college boxing. I told you college had an NCAA boxing tournament. But in the early 60s, a boxer got killed in one of the matches in college. It was like, that's it. All it took was that to happen one time in college and it was over. Never picked it back up. But boxing does, however, have a history. Boxing does have a following, and it's an individual sport, similar to track and field, where athletes can excel, okay? Now, from 2008 to 2011, Marvin Baker was editor of the Mountrail County Record. I believe that's the newspaper up there in Parshaw, North Dakota. Now, Taylor received a call one day that community leaders there were considering a boxing club, right? It was actually a return to the ring because Parshaw, North Dakota has a storied past in the boxing world, right? Now, Taylor agreed to follow the progression of this idea. And there seemed to be plenty of interest on the street, right? And as time went past, right, more and more kids became interested in taking up boxing. It included several girls, too, that eventually led to competitive boxing tournaments, okay? Had some young girls want to join in too. Now, when the club finally opened, it was overwhelmed with interest. It became known as the Bob Walsh Boxing Club. And not only were there a lot of kids interested, there were also several adult coaches who were committed to making it work, right? So that's what you need. You needed some adults and stuff that were committed to it, and they had that, right? And they had that. So we often hear about a lack of things to do for youth on the reservation in North Dakota. Now in Parshaw, boxing changed the entire dynamic of that, right? Those kids who maybe weren't the best basketball players, or those who didn't have an interest in playing basketball, they could go to the ring and get a decent workout, during the winter months. And the Bob Orr Boxing Club, it did well, right? Did well in competition over the years. It's like the Golden Gloves boxing tournaments held in Bismarck, North Dakota. And this isn't unique to Parshaw or Newtown. Enthusiasm for boxing can happen in any small town that has a facility in which to practice. If one isn't available, just move some furniture out of the basement or garage and just create a makeshift ring. Punching bags and other equipment are easy to set up, okay? So yeah, it isn't hard to make up a makeshift boxing ring at all. Okay, now, the most notable boxing name out of North Dakota is Virgil Hill, right? He was born in Missouri, but career played out of North Dakota. Born in, I had it written down here. Yeah, he was born in Missouri though, yeah. Career played out of North Dakota. Virgil Hill, let's talk about Virgil, okay? Talk about VH. Bad man there, Virgil Hill. Yeah. I think he won a gold in the Olympics, didn't he? Yeah. Quicksilver is what they called him. Virgil Quicksilver Hill. Okay? Let's talk about Quicksilver. Everybody hitting the like, yes. Mm-hmm. It is Quicksilver on the screen. Okay, excuse me for a minute. Yeah, don't miss that brow bomber tomorrow. That's going to be fire. F-I-Y-A. Fire. I ain't talking about fire. I'm talking about fire. The brown bomber. Okay. Virgil Quicksilver Hill. Now, anyone from North Dakota has historical knowledge and ties to people who are from North Dakota and achieve success in life. Okay? Phil Jackson, Carson Wentz, Josh Duhamel, Angie Dickinson, and even Lawrence Welk is part of that crowd from North Dakota. But few have the same level of honor as the unofficial mayor of nearly every town in North Dakota, Virgil Hill, okay? And one of the main reasons for that bond with people is the fact that Hill brought much of this spotlight with him back to his roots in North Dakota. Of Hill's 58 professional fights, okay, 26 of them took place in the great Peace Garden State, with 12 of those championship fights, okay, title fights for it at home in North Dakota. It's almost half, right? Now, in today's society and world, it is much easier to maintain a connection with anyone else in the world via the digital platforms available nowadays, Now, in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, that was not the case, right? The only way for fans to connect with their heroes and follow their exploits was to attend events, read newspapers and magazines, okay? Now, Hill, who was part of that world, he was officially inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame on November 12, 2012, right? As a part of the class of 2013. Now, he was part of that area of boxing. before social media and all of that, right? And so yeah, Hill brought a lot of his fights back to North Dakota. Okay, almost half of his fights as a professional, and 12 championship fights, so he could connect with his people because we didn't have social media. Okay, now watching the fights that Hill had, there were a couple of things that stand out about him, about his style. Okay, his lead hand was fast, hard, and from shoulder to elbow, the jab, hook, and uppercut started and looked exactly the same, okay, until the end of the punch. And the other noticeable thing about Hill was the length of intensity, that flurries would last when Hill turned up the speed, okay? That came from a life-changing time in his life at the 1984 Olympics. At the games, Hill met Deneen Howard, who was a member of the team as a sprinter at that time. Now she is Mrs. Hill, and she has coached track and field for nearly 30 years. And Virgil now runs a boxing gym in California, right? Where Mrs. Hill works with the athletes 3 times a week with intervals in training, okay? Now the final vibe that comes from watching the fights from the past is the way Virgil attacked his chosen profession, okay? And the connection to North Dakota is never far from the Hills. Virgil has been quietly visiting some of the local gyms, right? To promote the sport and greet fellow pugilists. Once a North Dakotan, always a North Dakotan. And Virgil competed from 1984 to 2007, 23 years, okay? He was a champion in 2 weight classes, light heavyweight and cruiserweight. I think he did fight at heavyweight, but I don't think he ever had a title there. Light heavyweight and cruiserweight, Virgil was champion in, right? And he had a total of 58 fights. He won 51 and lost 7. 24 knockouts. 24 knockouts for him. Yep, now let's see. Oh, Prize Fighter says he grew up in Williston. Oh, that's why you had asked me a while back when was North Dakota. Yeah, Williston. Okay. Yeah. Now let's see. Bear with me for a minute here. Upside down. Upside down. Okay. Arthur Cook. Oh, shoot. Okay. All right. Okay, yeah. Arthur the Whooping Crane Cook. Ready to whoop some butt, okay? Now, Arthur had a record of 14 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, 5 knockouts, okay? Hailing from Peguis First Nation Reserve, Manitoba, Canada. Arthur the Whooping Crane Cook. Now, he started to box at the age of 10 under unconventional conditions without a proper gym to train in on his reserve. Cook was forced to train in a space no bigger than a washroom. But such training prepared Cook to rise to adversity in many ring encounters, as well as help him when fighting in close quarters. Cook always says, I'm going to break him down, bang that body, okay? He turned pro in January of 2000 after a solid amateur career that saw him win the Canadian Super Heavyweight Championship. As a professional, Cook fought in Hungary, Kazakhstan, Dubai, the United States, and Canada. And he won the WBC World Youth title. Arthur, the Whooping Crane Cook. Let me see if I can get these Putwell brothers. And we're going to talk about some of the best boxers from every state. Y'all ready for the Monster Friday? Yep. Let me see here. Okay. Can't really get too much on it. So we're going to move on to the best boxer from every state now as the backup plan. Okay? And don't forget, tomorrow is the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. But let's look at some of the best boxers from every state in America. We stopped at Delaware last week. Here we go. Stopped at Delaware last week. Remember? Yeah. Virgil boxed from the balls of his feet. Always moving. Yeah, that's true, prize fighter. Quicksilver. Yeah, I remember that name, Quicksilver. Virgil Quicksilver Silver Hill. But let's look at some of the best boxers from every state in America. We stopped at Delaware. We're going to pick it up at Delaware, okay? You probably get some link time around 2:30. It's just 3 o'clock. Yeah, we started out with Alabama. It was Joe Louis, remember? This is what we did last week. Then Nate's was Arizona. It was Michael Carbajal. No current boxers. No current boxers, all former. Then we had Arkansas with the Big Bear, Sonny Liston. Following Sonny was Arkansas was California. Manuel Ortiz was the selection. Then it was Colorado, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler. Manasseh, Colorado's Jack Dempsey. Then I think that took us to Delaware. No, Connecticut, Willie Pep. The Will o' the Wisp, Willie Pep from Middletown, Connecticut. We covered all of these last week. Then we had, let me move this out the way. Then we had, after Connecticut, now we're at Delaware. The best fighter from Delaware, Dave Tiberi from Newcastle, Delaware. Okay. Dave had a professional record of 22 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, 7 knockouts. He had 28 total fights, right? Now, with fewer than 1 million inhabitants, the state of Delaware has never been a boxing hotbed, right? As such, Dave Tiberi, a middleweight contender during the 80s and 90s, tops the list of the best fighters to emerge from this minuscule mid-Atlantic state, despite never winning a world title. He should have, because that fight against Tony, right? However, far from being a mere moral victor, Tiberi should have been crowned IBF 160-pound champion on February 8th, 1992. He came in as a 10-1 underdog, right? Stepped up to challenge James Lights Out Tony, who was the defending champion. And at the time, Tony had 28 wins, no losses, 2 draws. Heavily favored, right? And with Tony emerging as one of the sport's premier fighters at that time, right? The Tiberi fight was viewed as nothing more than a tune-up for Lights Out. However, in what appeared to be a stunner, Tiberi clearly bossed the fight, despite a point deduction in round 6 for a low blow, okay? The scores, though, would tell a different story from what happened in the ring. Overtly corrupt story. Tiberi lost a split decision. He won 117, 111 on one card. That was about right there. But it was embarrassingly overruled by 2 scores of 115, 112 for Tony. Okay? In the fight's aftermath, an investigation led by Senator William Roth of Delaware, United States Senator, into corruption in boxing, revealed that 2 of the judges that judged the Tiberi Tony fight were unlicensed to judge fights in New Jersey. Okay? Now, Tiberi was offered a rematch and a far more lucrative purse, right? As well as a share of the pay-per-view revenues. But he declined on principle, insisting that if he accepted the rematch, he'd be allowed to enter the ring as the champion, okay? But no, they wouldn't agree to that. They said they'd give him the rematch. He got a much more bigger purse, a big part of the pay-per-views, but Tony would have to come in as champion. So Tiberi said no, he ain't doing it. Yep, went out on principle. I would have did it, you know. Hey, but Tony probably would have blasted him that second time. But yeah, he wanted to come in as champion, and they wouldn't do that. So yeah, prize fighter said Shelby Pudwell fought Andre Ward. Oh, did he? Okay. And his brother Tucker fought world-class opposition also. Okay, hold it for a second. Yeah, Tiberi, they offered him a rematch and a bigger purse and everything, but he wanted to come in as champion. But, you know, they gave the fight to Tony, so they said, no, you got to be the challenger. And then we never got it again. Nope, never got it again. What's going on here, man? There we go. Bear with me for 1 second, please. There we go. Yeah. Okay, let's go. That was Delaware. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm back. Okay, there we go. Couldn't see my chat for a minute there. Melanin Queen 27 in the building. What's up, Melanin Queen? How are you today? We're talking about boxing in the States. Now we're talking about some of the best boxer from every state. Just covered Delaware was Dave Tiberi. His claim to fame was they felt he had beat James Toney, but felt he got robbed. They gave it to Toney. And he never won a world championship. But Delaware don't have a wide selection to choose for as far as boxers. Okay, so then after Delaware is Florida. Okay. Best fighter out of Florida, Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Okay. Pensacola, Florida. Total of 73 fights in his career. 64 wins, 9 losses, 46 by way of knockout. Now, when it comes to pure physical gifts and sheer raw athleticism, no contemporary fighter comes close to touching Roy Jones Jr. Now, this isn't to say that Jones is not a sophisticated boxer also. Far from it. Rather, it merely means to emphasize the extent of his raw talent. A combination of blistering speed, concussive power, and inhumane reflexes that reduced opponents to helpless, plodding punching bags. Okay? Now, it's no surprise then that Jones became the first ever middleweight champion to win a portion of the heavyweight title. No, he was the first one in 100 years to do it because Bob Fitzsimmons did it in 1890 something. Okay, when middleweight and heavyweight. Roy was the second one to do it, but the first in over 100 years. Okay, now, along the way, Roy became a dominant light heavyweight and he outclassed slick and skilled James Toney at 168 pounds when both were undefeated. But more than even his iconic victories, Jones will be remembered for jaw-dropping displays of boxing brilliance. Like when he played possum against Glenn Kelly, with his hands held behind his back, evading punches until he sprung forward to end the fight with a single punch. You remember that one? Now, although Roy continued to fight for somewhat mysterious and ultimately futile reasons far past his prime, not even the harrowing knockouts suffered at the end of his career can remotely erase the memory of a fighter who helped define the pound-for-pound concept. Roy Jones Jr., best fighter out of Florida. Now, although the nature of pound-for-pound rankings implies subjectivity, as well as degrees of both uncertainty and skepticism, the argument that Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter of all time is almost impossible to counter. Okay? Robinson was seemingly perfect, a master boxer and devastating puncher who reigned as both welterweight and middleweight champion, while earning 1950s Fighter of the Decade honors from the Ring magazine. Okay, let's continue. That was Florida. Your Sugar Ray is Georgia. Place of birth, Alley, Georgia. That's why I say it's by birth because Sugar Ray could be New York. Sugar Ray could be Michigan. Like Tommy Hearns is on here from Tennessee. Now, who knows Tommy Hearns from Tennessee? Sugar Ray Leonard, North Carolina. Sugar Ray Robinson, Georgia. Now, Sugar Ray was such an exceptional fighter. He's generally regarded as arguably the best welterweight and middleweight ever. Okay? Or at least he's around the top spot in both divisions. And he was in an era where we only had like 8 weight classes, okay? We didn't have a whole lot of juniors and supers. And he's arguably the best in 2 of them. And this epic 6-fight series with Jake LaMotta, of which Sugar Ray won 5, including the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that's the sort of robbery that's quite literally no longer possible in the sport. Now, LaMotta was the first man to defeat Sugar Ray, okay? But after that initial setback, Sugar Ray would go on to win 91 straight fights before losing another fight, okay? He went through the rest, that was in 1942. He went through the rest of the decade of the 1940s, on up into the 50s before he lost again, okay? He was at middleweight by the time he lost again. And that was he had moved up to light heavyweight, 1952, right? He was trying for the light heavyweight title, but he was winning on all the cards in the 13th round, but it got too hot and he couldn't continue. Only time he was stopped in his career was when he couldn't continue because of the heat. And before he went down, the referee went down, right? It was like 104 degrees out there. From Georgia, Sugar Ray Robinson. Best fighter from Hawaii, called Bobo Alston. Honolulu, Hawaii. Carl had 115 fights in his career. He won 97, lost 16, had 2 draws, 46 knockouts for Carl. This is crazy. I don't know why this writing is so small, man. But anyway, former middleweight champion Carl Bobo, that's one of those great 1950s middleweights too. Former middleweight champion Carl Bobo Alston was named Fighter of the Year for 1953 by the Ring magazine. We'll talk about him tomorrow. A defining stretch that saw him finally emerge from the specter of Sugar Ray Robinson, who had already stopped Alston in 1950 by a 12th round knockout. And he defeated Alston by decision in 1953, 15-round unanimous decision. Okay. Now, also Robinson would later knock Alston out again on 2 more occasions in middleweight title fights. Alston would first leave his win mark on the 160-pound division. Now, when Robinson retired, Alston filled the initial gap by decision in Randy Turpin to win the vacant World Middleweight Championship in 1953. The Robinson had left vacant. And he went on to make 3 successful defenses, including one against the legendary Kid Gavilan, okay? Like Robinson, Alston would also jump up to light heavyweight. When he challenged Archie Moore, he was knocked out in 3 rounds. And the last 2 stoppage losses to Sugar Ray Robinson came shortly after the Archie Moore fight in 1955 and 1956. And Alston would fight on until 1966 with mixed success. However, by then, he had already set a new standard for any emerging boxers from Hawaii. An International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, Alston died of Alzheimer's in Honolulu, 2002. Okay, Idaho, Kenny King, best fighter from Idaho, Kenny King, from Emmett, Idaho. Kenny King is from Emmett, Idaho. Prize fighter said Virgil was beating Roy Jones Jr. before the amazing body shot that knocked the KO'd Virgil. Yeah, I remember that one prize fighter, yeah. Yeah, Virgil was a hit. Mm-hmm. Roy got him into that body though. Best fighter from Emmett from Idaho. Kenny King from Emmett, Idaho. Kenny King. Known as the Emmett Eliminator, Kenny King is a state legend who's a cruiserweight contender with a rugged brawling style that routinely drew raucous crowds in a state that has never been known as a bastion of the sweet science. And make no mistake about it, the affable King never considered himself a craftsman in the ring. King said, "I was not skilled. I plowed ahead. I may not have been a great boxer or puncher, but I was a good small town guy who always plowed ahead." King held 3 minor cruiserweight belts during his career: the WBF, the IBC, and the IBA titles. Now, although he never challenged for a major world championship, he consistently faced solid competition, and he amassed a remarkable 43-2 record in fights held in Idaho. In his 4 defeats as a professional, King was only stopped one time in the final round of the last fight of his career, right? Got stopped in the last round in the last fight of his career. There was a long road to success too. When King debuted as a 132-pound amateur, he apparently lost 9 of his first 10 fights, and he was told by the state boxing commission that he'd have to stop boxing if he did not improve. He lost 9 of his first 10 fights, and the state boxing commission pulled him up and said, "Look, Kitty, if you don't improve, this license is going to be revoked." You know, King did develop, honing his aggressive, determined, and frenetic pressure tactics as he rose in weight, claiming a national junior Olympic title. He would wait for his father's shift to finish at the sawmill to train with him. And it was this humbleness and dedication that allowed King to rise to relative prominence, and more importantly, get back to the state that supported him so unconditionally. King said, "I wanted to create not just more boxing fans, but also Kenny King fans." And Kenny King demonstrated unequivocally that success in prize fighting can't solely be measured by wins, losses, or world titles. Kenny King, best fighter from Idaho. Illinois, Packy McFarland from Chicago, Illinois. Best fighter from Illinois, Packy McFarland. Okay. Yeah, Tennessee prize fighter. That's where he was born at. He didn't stay there long, right? But this list on the best fighters from each state is going by birth, right? Going by birth. That's why they had Sugar Ray from Georgia. They got Sugar Ray Leonard from North Carolina, right? But those are the fights where their careers played out. You ask the average person about Tommy Hearns, they're going to say Michigan, that Crump Gym up there in Detroit. You say Tennessee, they look at you cross-eyed. Tennessee. I didn't know that neither. Before looking at this, I did not know that. Yeah, I always associated Tommy Hearns with Detroit. Everybody does. But yeah, Packy McFarland for Chicago, for Illinois, the best fighter. Now, with an undefeated record, excluding newspaper decisions, lightweight Packy McFarland is one of boxing history's more curious cases, because he never won or even challenged for a world title. And yet, in his book, The 100 Greatest Boxers of All Time, the cigar-chomping, fedora-clad historian Bert Sugar rated McFarland at number 32. That's high praise from Bert Sugar. Got this man number 32 of all time. He never even challenged for a title. Now, some of McFarland's notable victories include wins over Jack Britton, who would eventually claim the welterweight title after McFarland beat him. Freddie Welsh. He had a win over Freddie in 2 draws. And Jimmy Britt. Jimmy Britt fought 6 future Hall of Famers over 10 fights in a career that only spanned 23 fights. And just to name a few. And McFarland accomplished all this by the time he was 26 years old. Despite just retiring just as he was entering his prime, the sterling record McFarland had amassed proved more than enough to earn him enshrinement into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, he died at age 47. He enjoyed lucrative success in brewing and contracting ventures, and he stayed connected with boxing, mentoring Barney Ross and working with the Illinois Athletic Commission. Packy McFarland, best boxer out of Illinois. Indiana, Tony Zale. No current fighters remember. Indiana, Tony Zale. Yeah, oh yeah, Kenny Keene had that chin like an anvil. That's the chin there. Yeah. Yeah. He was that kind of fighter, prize fighter. Yeah. He just said, I plowed forward. He admitted, he said, I couldn't box. I wasn't no big puncher. Kenny said, I just plowed forward. So he needed that anvil type chin, prize. He needed that anvil type chin because he said, that's what I'm known for, plowing forward. Man said he couldn't box and didn't have no power. He said, I just plowed forward with my anvil chin, like prize fighter said. Okay, Tony Zale from Indiana, Gary, Indiana. 67 wins, 18 draws, 2 losses, 45 knockouts for his career. Now, he was a 2-time lineal middleweight champion, right? We taught Zale he won a couple of in a couple of the year fights of the year, the 1940s. Remember, I think he won I know he won it once in the 40s. He might have won it again in the 50s. But Tony Zale is remarkable for a myriad of reasons. For starters, he's one of the rare elite fighters who sustained more defeats during the first half of his career when he was an emerging contender than when he ascended to the elite level. He also served in the Navy during World War II, meaning despite being the reigning champion, he didn't box for 4 years, from 42 to 46. A lot of boxers did that though. 42 to 46 was like a lull in the sport. Didn't have a lot of championship fights in that time. Joe Louis didn't fight from 42 to 46. Okay? That's why when you say he was champion for an entire decade of the 40s, it needs to be an asterisk there because he didn't fight for 4 years during that decade. So now Ricardo Lopez, he was champion for everything but 3 months of the 90s, fighting the entire decade, right? But Ricardo chose to vacate his title like November 98. And he missed like October, November 98, he missed the last couple of months as champion of 99. Going into 2000, he would have been champion for the entire decade, fighting the entire decade. Okay, Joe took a couple of years off for the war. And then, of course, there's the matter that genuinely of Tony Zale's epic trilogy with Rocky Graziano, which took place in a 21-month span. They had 3 fights in 21 months. Now, Zale won the NBA middleweight title with a stoppage of Al Harstack in 1940. He defended that title while adding the New York State Athletic Commission championship to his haul in 1941. 4 times he won that title, the NYSAC, 4 times, culminating in his first fight against Graziano. And Zale won that fight, right? That was fight of the year in 1946, remember? And both of them took a big beating in that fight, man. They was going at it. And Zale rallied for the stoppage in the 6th round. In 47, the same 2 won fight of the year. And Graziano stopped Zale in the 6th round in that one, remember? Right, the rematch was 1947's fight of the year. Okay? Graziano got his get back. Then they had the rubber match. Zale won the rubber match, 3rd round knockout. Well, none of them went the distance, right? He put a definitive stamp on one of boxing's most brutal and iconic and thrilling rivalries. You know, you think Manny and Marquez and Eric Morales and Barrera and all of them and Ward and Gotti, they like child's play to Zale Graciano. They like little children. And all those, don't get me wrong, those were some rough fights. But up against Zale and Graciano, they tried to kill each other in that ring, man. Yes, they did. Now, Zale lost the title in his final professional fight, right? But he didn't go out quietly. Instead, in characteristic fashion, he took on all-time great Marcel Cerdan. And Zale was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. Tony Zale, best fighter out of Illinois. Okay, next is Iowa. Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn. What was his nickname? It was Michael something Nunn. I can't think of it right now. Pretty cool nickname. And he's from Liverport, Iowa. Michael Nunn, Liverport, Iowa. Yeah, Melanie Queen is got it in there about the meet and greet coming up. Early bird special, the $20 admission until February 1st. You got another week. You can get your ticket for $20 for the next week. Okay. Then it's back up to $30. So jump on that before next Saturday. Yeah. The early bird special. And the event is February 28th. Yeah. Got the early bird special going on right now. This is the time to get your ticket. Okay. Why spend 30 when you can spend 20? No brainer. Right? Okay, Michael Nunn, best fighter from Iowa. Davenport, Iowa. Okay, he had 62 total fights in his professional career. He won 58, lost 4. He had 37 knockouts. Michael Nunn. Okay. Now, after compiling a sensational 168-8 amateur record, and narrowly missing out on qualifying for the 1984 Olympics, that was a fire team. Added Michael Nunn to that. Sweet Pea, Tyrell Biggs, Milton McCrory, Meldrick Taylor, Evander Holyfield. Add Michael Nunn to that squad. But he just missed out on qualifying for it, okay? He embarked on a professional career after that would see him become a two-weight world champion at 160 and 168. At middleweight, Nunn displayed a combination of skills and punching power that had fans and pundits pegging him for a sustained run as a pound-for-pound star. Now, during his reign as an IBF and lineal middleweight champion, Nunn's impressive victories included his first-round knockout of the year evisceration of Sambu Kalambi in 1989. He had stoppages of champions Frank Tate and Donald Curry, decisions over Marlon Starling and Iran Barkley. One fight, though, that could have enhanced Nunn's legacy even further was his shocking knockout loss to James Lights Out Tony, who Nunn was soundly outboxing by scores of 97-93, 98-92, and 98-91, when a Tony left hook detonated against Nunn's jaw in the 11th round, and a follow-up barrage that stopped Nunn, right? Yeah, Nunn was outboxing Lights Out comfortably. But hey, it only takes one, to change the fight. And Tony caught him. And that was all she wrote. Now, Nunn, however, would bounce back and claim the WBA and lineal super middleweight titles, making 4 successful defenses. But despite all his in-ring success, life after boxing would prove tragic for Nunn, right? I think he's out now, but he did like 15 years. He bought a kilogram of cocaine from an federal undercover agent, right? I think he got out last year, as a matter of fact. Did like 15 years. Went in like, 7, 8, somewhere around in there. Yeah. Michael Nunn did all that time. But yeah, I do believe he's out of prison now. Yeah. Good for him. What's up, Al Booker? Al Booker say, "Whoops, yeah, man. He made some good bags in boxing. I don't understand it. Why he went into the world of drugs like that, but he did, and he paid for it. It was like 15 years of his life, man. Yeah. Bought a kilogram of coke from a federal agent. That's a no-no. Like Al Booker say, whoops. Yeah. You know. So they had to have been watching him. Because, when the feds get ready for you, they're going to get you anyway. So whether he would have bought that kilogram or not, they would have got him. Because when the feds make their move, they got you. You might as well say, I'm guilty. Because sometimes the feds watch you for years. And when they move in, they already know you're guilty. But they ain't even gonna fool with you. That's why they said it's time to get him. They set up the buy, and they got him. Okay. But next is Kansas. The best boxer from Kansas is Jess Willett from Potawatomi, Kansas. Jess Willett. Now, Jess didn't have that long of a career. He had 28 fights. He won 22, lost 5, had 1 draw. But he had 20 knockouts. He had a pretty good knockout rate. When he won, he normally got you up out of there. 20 knockouts in 22 fights. That's got to be 90. Yep, 91. Well, 90.9, 91. I always round it off. That's right, Albert. Right, 95.1. Yeah. The feds don't mess around. And if the feds lock somebody up, like a couple months later, you see them back on the street, somebody in their crime family better start worrying. You know what I'm saying? Because there's only one way that the feds let you go. You got to give them somebody bigger. So if you're in somebody's partner breaking the law and you see them back on the street after like a couple of weeks with the feds, you better start worrying. Because they done gave somebody up. They done gave the feds something bigger than them. Mm-hmm. They don't have no parole. Okay? That's their parole, snitching on somebody. But Jess Willett from Potawatomi, Kansas. Now, from sheer size and power punching standpoints, former world heavyweight champion Jess Willett would have found himself right at home amongst the giants that populate the current landscape of boxing's glamour division. It wasn't a whole lot of big ones like that back then. But Jess was 6'6", but still didn't stop Jack Dempsey. Did it, Al Booker? Jack Dempsey put something on it. That's the fight where Doc Kearns lied and said he wrapped some illegal objects in Jack Dempsey's hand wraps, but it was a lie because the other guy said he was dead. Doc Kearns didn't even wrap Jack Dempsey's hand wraps. He lied because Jack Dempsey fired him. Jess Willett was 6'6" tall. Yeah. And they called him the Potawatomi Giant. He ended Jack Johnson's title reign. Yeah, that was in Cuba. They always said it was a fixed fight. Jack Johnson denied it. Then when he retired, he said it was a fixed fight. Jess Willett always denied it. So, yeah. Now, Willett was a hellacious puncher who scored knockouts in all but 2 of his wins. Now, while he wasn't the boxing savant that so many others in these rankings were, Willett did particularly well considering he turned professional at 29 years old. Wow. After hoping to cash in by exploiting his size in the prize ring. Yeah, he was so big, 29 years old. Wow. So he couldn't have had an amateur career. Didn't have time. He was billed as a White Hope Willett. He defeated similarly height contenders and developed a rabid following as he worked his way towards the shot at Johnson, which took place in Havana, Cuba in 1915. Okay? In sweltering heat, Willett stalked and outmuscled the somewhat lethargic champion, scoring a historic knockout in the 26th round of a scheduled 45-round fight. Jack Johnson was not at his best that day either, Okay, 26th round. Willett would earn a newspaper decision victory in his only successful defense, which came against Frank Moran, setting the stage for his fight against Jack Dempsey. That ended badly for Jess. In one of the most savage beatings in boxing history, Dempsey floored Willard 7 times. Not just 7 times, but 7 times in the first round. Okay, 7 times in the first round, cracking the champion's skull, fracturing his jaw, and shattering some of his ribs. Okay, one of the most brutal beatings in history. And at that point, Willard, that was all in the first round. But Willard still wouldn't quit. He somehow made it through the second and third rounds on his feet before his corner mercilessly ended the fight. Okay, he had to save him from himself. Yeah, that was one of the classic save the fighter from himself. He had a cracked skull, okay, some cracked ribs, a cracked jaw, still trying to come back out there and fight, right? And that was all in the first round. And he made it to the third round before his corner just ended it, you know. But he's the best fighter from Kansas. That's Willard, Potawatomi Giant. Yeah. Okay. Kentucky. Let me think. Who's going to be the best fighter from Kentucky? Oh, man. That's a hard one. I guess Muhammad Ali. Yeah, Muhammad Ali. Okay, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, the best fighter from Kentucky, Muhammad Ali from Louisville, Kentucky. 61 total fights during his career, 56 wins, 5 losses, 37 knockouts. Okay. Now, it seems wrong to try and encapsulate anything about Muhammad Ali, right? But Ali was more than just a boxer. He was a cultural icon, remember? A symbol for peace, social justice, and defiance of the establishment. He was also, by the way, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Very gifted pugilist and poetic trash talker who somehow possessed the skills to back up his gift of gab. But like I said, he went overboard against Joe Frazier, man, because Joe Frazier supported the man, you know? When he got stripped in 67, they had a tournament to find his replacement. Joe Frazier boycotted the tournament because Joe Frazier said he don't support the way they stripped Ali. He didn't even participate in the tournament. He got the belts later from Jimmy Ellis after Jimmy Ellis won the belts in the tournament, right? And Joe Frazier said he supported the Vietnam War, but Ali had the right to believe what he believed in. And then he did treated Joe Frazier the way he treated him. That was wrong. But I told y'all, he lucky Joe Frazier wasn't there when he lit that torch in 96 at the Olympics. Because Joe Frazier said, I would have pushed his ass in that flame. Yeah, Joe put on a good face in public appearances with Ali after their careers. But Joe never got over that, what Ali did to him during their careers. Joe never got over that, man. Now, the facts and statistics of Ali's career hold up against any ring legends, and frankly, surpass most, okay? Remember the gold medal in 1960 in Rome? 3-time linear world heavyweight champion, okay? He was 3 times, and every time he took it from the man that had took it from the man, linear, okay? 3 times. And he was such the only man to accomplish that feat, 3-time lineal champion in any division, right? At heavyweight, excuse me. Only man to do that at heavyweight, 3-time lineal, okay? And in heavyweight title fights, he had 22 wins, 19 successful title defenses over 2 title reigns. Now, what's also particularly impressive is that Ali's 19 title defenses were evenly split. 9 during his first reign, 10 during his second. Ain't that something? 9 during his first reign before he was stripped, and then 10 when he came back. Wow, evenly split, man. And don't forget, I never knew that. Don't forget that Ali was prevented from boxing during his athletic prime, right? The man missed his prime. Just think if he wouldn't have missed 67 to 7, the man may not have a loss on his record. If he'd have boxed straight through all of that. Ali's impact on boxing history, however, extends far beyond mere numbers. His rivalry with Smoking Joe Frazier is arguably the greatest ever, and his knockout of the seemingly invincible Big George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle is one of the all-time upsets and indelible moments in modern sports. Yeah, not just boxing. That's the biggest upset. That's even bigger than Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. You know, if you were living around that time and Ali and Foreman was ready to fight, nobody, not even Ali's own team, gave him a chance to beat Foreman. Like Thomas Hill said, they were sitting around looking all sad, and Ali asked them, "What y'all looking sad about?" I'm the one got to get in the ring with him. They was looking sad because they thought he was going to lose. Nobody gave him a chance. Only one gave him a chance to win that fight was him, probably Angelo Dundee, maybe Boudini Brown. I don't even know if Angelo and Dundee and Boudini Brown thought Ali would win that fight. Because Angelo said he didn't find out about the rope-a-dope until everybody else when the fight started. He didn't know what Ali was going to do. So yeah, nobody gave Ali a chance. So that was even bigger than Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson, Ali beating Foreman, man. Most people was like, just let Foreman have it. Because a lot of people thought Foreman was going to kill him in there, man. Foreman was just destroying people. Nobody was even lasting 2 rounds with Foreman back around then, man. Remember Joe Frazier? He fought Joe Frazier 2 fights for a total of 7 rounds. One lasted 5, one lasted 2. He knocked Joe Frazier down 8 times in 2 fights. So everybody was like, Ali, no, what is Ali going to do? But he had that rope-a-dope. So that's when Ali really seemed invincible after that. And that's when George Foreman started getting beat. That invincibility was gone after what Ali did for him. But let's continue. I got way off. I'm sorry. Yeah. Unlike most athletes today, Ali was also a man of profound convictions, standing up against institutionalized racism and inequality, among other things. He spoke eloquently and with passion, and he eventually won over the public by never compromising his values. Because the way he was loved, in the teens, 2000s, around the time he died, Ali was one of the most hated figures in the world back in the 60s, man. Yeah, he was one of the most hated people there was. When he turned Muslim and all that, look how they took his title from him. He wasn't loved like he was at the end. They hated Ali, man. Yes, they did. But he always stood up for what he believed in. That's what people respected about him. Never compromised his value. Not once. Never did. Okay. Oh, man. We're Kentucky. Next is Louisiana. Tony Canzoneri is the best fighter from Louisiana. Oh, let me see some more people that came in. Oh. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, Ray Patterson? Oh, he just went in last year, prize fighter Michael Nunn, the West Coast Boxing Hall of Fame. Okay. In LA. Oh, you saw prize? He was there, prize fighter? Okay. I did not know that. Michael Nunn. He deserved it. Yeah. If he wouldn't have lost that fight to Tony, his legacy would have been way, way, way bigger than it is, man. But yeah, he was winning, but lights out, that one shot changed the fight. That's why they say it only takes one, and that is so true. He was winning widely. The lights out got that shot in on him, and then that was it. What's up, RP? How you doing today, bro? Yeah, we just talking about some of the best fighters from every state now. Of course, it was Ali from Kentucky. Who else would it be? Jimmy Young? No, but salute, Ray. I'm here, Ray Patterson, RP from New Jersey, straight out of New Jersey. Home of the Just Do family, Shakur Stevenson. What's the other boxer name? Just lost Raymond Ford. Yep. Bobby Chaz. Remember Bobby Chaz from back in the day? Prize fighter, remember? Bobby Chaz. He one of them fighters you had to kill in there. Bobby Chaz, one of them ones where the corner, he got to save him from himself. He can have one arm hanging off. He's still coming out there to fight. Yeah, Bobby Chaz was a tough man. But yeah, let's do Tony Canzoneri from Louisiana. I could talk about Ali all day. Me and Old School going to do a show on it. I thought it might be this week. But Old School said it was supposed to be off Tuesday or Wednesday, but he didn't call me, so he must not have got off. Oh, William Old School and Rand and BN Boxing News are the 2 hardest working men I know, man. They're either at work, they're either going to work, or they're either coming home from work. Every time they come into a chat, they're either at work, going to work, or coming home from work. Them two brothers. Watch when they in chats. Mm-hmm. T Hill, what's happening, bro? Oh, let me get a few minutes. We're gonna stop it right there. Yeah, I'm glad I saw T Hill's name because I always forget about the link. Let's get like 15 minutes of link time at the end. I was getting ready to blow right on past the link again. There we go. Let me get it in here real quick. Link is for everybody, not just you don't have to have JBT by your name. The link is for everybody. Come up and chop it up. Chop it down. Okay. We're gonna get like 15 minutes. I forgot. 10 minutes now. 2 minutes by the time I get it in there. I gotta be quiet. I'll get the link in fast. Don't talk to each other. Okay? Because it'll be time for Just Do by the time I get it in. Okay. Messing up already. And appreciate Melanin Queen 27 1,000%. Told you other than she has redefined the title of moderator. Okay? Redefined it. Christmas, man. Yeah, Just Do will be on by the time I get this damn thing. Look. I don't know how I got way back there. I'm almost back. I hope this is right because I ain't got time to put it in again. Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. I hope. Okay, yeah, we're gonna start out with Louisiana next week if we have time. But what's after North Dakota? Let me see. Don't forget tomorrow is Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. I still can't believe we haven't did Joe Louis, man. We did all the big ones like Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Patterson. But I checked 3 times. I didn't see Joe Louis' name on the list. Maybe I forgot to write it. But I don't think we did Joe Louis. No. Okay. There we go. What's up, T Hill? I'm glad I saw your name and I remembered the link. What's happening?
Don't get no link. That just means we get more cash sports. You already know.
That's true, but I'm tired of talking, man.
But I'm gonna leave and come back so I'm not coming in loud on my side.
Okay. I'll be here. The Rides Podcast in the building. What's up, The Rides Podcast? Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. 12 p.m. on Sundays. Thomas Hill is back. What's up, Thomas Hill?
Yeah, now I'm good.
What's going on, man? We got like 10 minutes for Just Do coming here.
They got that press conference for 10 going on.
Which press conference? Oh, right now?
Yeah.
What's it on? YouTube?
Well, they did all the way up to the co-main event with the.
T Hill, you was coming in better the first time.
Do I need to come back on or something? What's up?
Back one more time. Yeah. You went out and came back worse. You was better. Wasn't it, y'all? There you go. Okay, damn. Now I can't find the cursor. There it is.
So yeah, They just got through doing the co-main event with Gary Anton Russell and Rayo Venezuela. But before him, they had talked to Sandor Martin and Antonio, Abuelo, and I forgot for that.
Okay.
So, you know, in typical Tank fashion, he wasn't there, so they popped off for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd be showing up later, but they out there unless it was just strictly for the undercard.
I didn't know that was today. Where they at? TL, California somewhere?
It was on. They were on. I don't think they were at it. It was more like a virtual one.
Oh.
Now I don't know if
I didn't know.
it's supposed to be in the. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be in the.
We got Monster this morning, right? What time is that? 6:30? I know it's early in the morning.
Well, yeah, I think it's 3:30.
3:30. Damn.
Yeah, my time. So it probably is 6:30.
Oh yeah, 3:30. Yeah, it'll be 6:30 our time. I get ready to say I'm gonna miss that. Damn. That's getting up in the middle of the night, like when you're going to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, I was that one day when I was up the whole night watching the fight because I wanted to see.
6:30 is much better because I'll be up watching Crush by then anyway, you know. 6:30.
Thank you for the list.
Yeah. So that ain't no problem. It ain't gonna last long, no way. But this guy get like 2 weeks notification or something for the Monster fight?
Yeah, to me, I mean, a lot of things around Monster and his fights move a little shaky.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things that happen that should not be happening. Like
I know.
When you get a random, you get to schedule your random. Like, nah, it's not a good day.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the random minute, dog. That now means he got time if he do take something to get prepared to pass the test.
Yeah.
The Masters. So you know that was a little. And then,
How's
like,
it a random if you schedule it, T? Right? How is it a random if you schedule it? That's the definition of random, right? He scheduled it. That ain't random. You know,
that's not random.
Yeah,
it's random selected.
When they just pop up and say, "Here."
Like, I'll play this time. I can get back with you about this time. That work with y'all? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, I mean, fantastic fighter, bro. I just that stuff is rubbed in. But just like when I see gloves flopping in the ring, dog. Gloves do not flop.
Gloves ain't supposed to flop, right?
Gloves don't bust. I don't care how I can go out there and punch on a fence or a concrete, it ain't busted.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't understand these things. These things need to be taken care of, and like I said, they need to go back to the days where they select their gloves and then they surrender them to.
Yeah, I like that.
Agency, so the agency can keep them and they can inspect them, make sure that they're even playing field, level playing field.
I like that. Glove up in the ring, man. Just like they take them off in the ring.
Yeah. All the old school people used to do it. Why can't you?
That's right. That's right. It don't take long, you know.
At all.
Because it's already taped and everything, you know. That's the long part, the taping, right?
Yeah.
The glove ain't all that. You know? Because you have somebody from the other side there watching when you tape, right?
They in the ring.
You know, I mean, when they putting the tape on back in the back,
a
representative from the other
side. You always have somebody watching the tape.
Yeah, taping. So glove up in the ring. What's the problem? I don't see what that would be good.
Too much
everything be on the up and up.
Yeah, that's too much like right, I guess.
Yeah. Wouldn't have all these flapping gloves they be coming up with, you know.
Yeah, floppy gloves, man. You ain't never seen gloves moving around like that. Damn sure ain't made them. Man, I got a pair of old ass gloves. Them things still tight. They ain't cracked out. They got cracked, but they ain't popped open and whatnot.
Yeah, that comes from people doctoring with them. That's all that is, you know. Yeah. That's all.
So if they surrender them to the sanctioning body, then the only people who could have doctored them work inside the sanctioning body.
Would be them. That's right. That's right.
So then now we know we got a crooked ass sanctioning body.
That's right. You know.
But yeah, man, I was listening yesterday, man. Like I said, I had a catering, man. I didn't stay out. I got off work and I stayed up the whole night preparing food.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it that way though, T Hill. I'm gonna look at the styles separately. Like next week probably be the Mexican style of boxing. You know.
Yeah. So you could break them down individually, and then you could start juxtaposing them, putting them in classic matchups like you do the fighters.
Right. Yeah, that is a very good idea. After I do all of them, then have some matchups against the different styles. Yeah. Eastern European. They got their style, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Mhm.
yeah, it'd be a series that you could do a whole lot with.
Yeah, that was a good idea. I told you I was gonna get it. It took me a few weeks, but yeah.
I'm already trusting. I trust into the system. I know you always good for your word.
Yeah,
But again, Pacheco versus
right.
I think
Steven Nelson. Steven
Stephen
Nelson, right?
Nelson is up this weekend, and I believe somebody else is fighting this weekend.
Cruz on the card. Andy Cruz on there.
Yeah, cool.
I forgot who
Yeah.
he was fighting. I forgot who he was fighting though. But
So
he's
yeah,
on there.
we
He's
got
a
we got
co-main, matter of fact. Co-main
yeah,
event. Yeah.
it should be. They gotta somehow factor him into that fight with Keyshawn, because
I
Keyshawn
know. We
could
need
possibly have a belt if he could beat Barancik. He could possibly
yeah.
have a belt.
We need him and Andy. Not 20 years from now. Now. I don't know why they want to wait with that marinade and all that. Forget that. Fight now.
Well, I mean, if I was him too,
Make
bro, I'm gonna
cut
be
bid tomorrow.
100% transparent with you. If I was him, I would push for the tank fight too, because I can get
You're
fight.
supposed to. Yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna tell everybody that's in this chat and on the playback.
Mm-hmm.
Most City Minutes, aka Behind the Hands TV, had an expose with a fighter, a real fighter who
Mm-hmm.
done been through the system.
Yeah.
His name was Ray Talib, aka Alif Ali TV. I'll put it in the chat so people can
Okay.
check them out. But
Yeah. Oh
he
shit.
basically out booger. My God, what's good, man? Hit the link out, Bugs. Hit the
Oh,
link.
that's Ant. Yeah.
I'm gonna put Ali thing in there so you can check him out. But he did a spot where he was interviewed by Most City
Right.
Minutes of Behind the Hands TV. And he was just
Mhm.
chronicling the life of a fighter, like the real true life of most fighters. And he said like 90 to 99% of the people that's fighting
Yeah.
are really not making money in boxing. The only way you make money in boxing is if you got sponsorships
Mhm.
and a great team behind you that is making sure that you don't have to pay for the fights,
Okay.
so that you can get the pay. Because most of the times you got to pay your promotional company for the fighter that you're fighting against. You got to pay them for the spot that they've given you, and then hopefully you get from ticket sales. And usually they do the ticket sales through the online app, so that you don't know truly how much you gain from them. So it's like they're fighting and they're not making much money.
Damn.
So a lot of so when T.O. is up there crying about money, it's because he really truly ain't never made money. The company has made money off of him. And we know this because nobody besides Mayweather sold more fights in the common era than Manny Pacquiao. Yet Manny Pacquiao didn't see not nearly half, not even a quarter of that money. So he did a whole lot of pay sales, but never saw no money, no true real money. Now he's fighting exhibitions. He should be set for life.
True.
You transfer his currency to where he stays, he should be set for life.
Yeah.
And yet he's not. And my man Al Booger's showing you the lies because he see, that's that eye-opening experience right there. So when these people saying they'll do anything and take anything, they really truly say that and mean that, but they know that the way that they live now in this era, people will take what you do, and if you don't perform well or you look bad, they will throw you into the bunk. Like you shouldn't pay or waste your time watching him. So that makes it even more difficult for somebody to make a fight, even if they do believe they can win, but no, the possibility is they could get slapped. Because you become a meme, and if you become a meme, you become only remembered for getting slapped, not for being a quality boxer. So that's why a lot of times when these fights are being offered and they're being turned down, is because I ain't getting no security. I need some security. So no, I'm not gonna do a fight for you, and that's it. Because what happens if I lose and I lose badly? I might never get back in again.
True.
I may never be looked at as a chance for somebody to take and make a profit off of me, so I can't get any kind of money off of it. You fighters get to the area where you're a Canelo, where you're a Sugar Ray Leonard, you're Oscar De La Hoya, you're a Mayweather, you're even a Pacquiao. Pacquiao just didn't get his just due. So like, shout out to the good brother Just Due. So you got to look at why they're not making these fights as well as why these fights couldn't be made. Because hell, if I only get one shot at the fight and I don't look good in that fight, look at what happened with my man Shakur. He had a fight where he totally dominated the guy, but yet still people like, I don't want to see his fight.
Yeah.
Now just imagine if he gets starched out. Then who's gonna want to promote? Who's gonna want to take the risk because he's gonna command certain money because he's making $3 million every pay-per-view. I mean, every fight.
Right.
That's what he's getting from his company. So now, if that's the case, and now he got a negative Q score, meaning people don't want to really see him, how am I going to promote him?
That's true.
Same thing for all these other fighters that ain't making that bread. So now it becomes like, I'm at your job. You the head honcho. You making all the bread, and you know I want you to give me a shot, and I want you to help me to get my views up so that the people at the post can say, hey, look, yo, this is somebody you might want to invest in. And I come to you and I say, I want to be on there with you. I want to showcase what I could do with you, but I want you to concede the work that you put in to get the merit that you have. How are you as a person going to really feel about that? Are you going to want to concede that because you have it and everybody wants to see it and you want me to also likewise shine? Or are you going to be like, nah, man, you know what? You got to talk to your people and make sure you get what you get. And then make so it becomes that. And a lot of times these people are not getting what they deserve, and they're not getting what their life in the ring and risk risk for.
Putting it all on the line, man.
So there needs to be some accommodation for them. There needs to be some accountability for the people that are putting on these sports, because nobody's coming to see the promotion.
No.
Unless you're out here and you got some superstars. Hey, even Turkey tried to put like people on the card to perform and it didn't do well. So now think about it. You got to really, really know how to promote something or know how to put on an event in order for you to see something. And that's why I say, man, a person who has not got much, he got skin in the game, but not much hyper credibility behind him. He's not getting his fair compensation. And now they got to do whatever they got to do. So we got to get some people in place to help them get what they deserve, man, so it won't be such of a risk, because they put their lives at risk. Very few do I tell you wildest stories exist. Most of them are like the 99% that don't really get to see money in sport. So
that's a lot, man. Damn, that's high, 99%.
Yeah, all the way up to it could be 90, but he said for sure 90%. He said, like, this is what he said. He said in a full fight year. What's a highly active fight year for a fighter?
Now?
No, just in general. Like, if you were to average throughout the span of time, how many fights would you say will be a highly productive year for them?
4.
4, just like you said, the guy from Dakota won 4 times, right?
Yeah.
He said in 4 fights, the first 2 fights, if you don't have no sponsorship, you're in the negative because you're paying the fight. Right. He said, if you get sponsorship, you may likely get to see a couple of thousand.
Wow.
Because you don't have to pay for your fight. You don't have to pay for the person you're fighting against, and you get your ticket sales and a little bit of the turnover. He said so in 4 fights in a full year, you're lucky to clear a couple of thousand.
Damn.
If you're not a big name fighter and if you ain't got nothing guaranteed coming in. So when people, our bucket, it's definitely about 95 to 98. 95. And that's, again, Ali
you get the 9 to 5, don't you? Deal.
Well, he said most of them do have that. Most of them do that.
Wow, yeah.
He said for him, he was just fortunate that he was a hustler in the streets, so he was able to pay his fights without incurring anything. But he said for the most time, mostly people depend on a whole lot of other folks because they ain't getting nothing, and they be getting finessed by they promotional company or their managers. So he said, like you really got to know the game inside and out. He said that's why being streetwise helps you because you understand the hustle.
Right.
You understand when people trying to finesse you, and then you understand how you get out of it. So, like our booger said, it's about 95 to 98%. He's just being generous by saying 90%. That means 10%
Right.
Fighters see some good money, but for the most part, good money to them still ain't clearing $1 million.
Yeah.
The few that's clearing over $1 million and multiple millions is in the 1%. And you're looking at them. That's why they calling their names every single time. And they can't afford to have a bad look against them because they might not be guaranteed in this current climate of fandom. You might not get the look. And the way how money has been like inflated, and you don't truly get the true value of a dollar. The dollar is so much decreased now, you might not get that look again. So if I go in there, even if I'm confident I might be able to beat him, if I don't and I get starched, then that fight may never happen. So you understand why people want to go at a Canelo and say, "Hey, yo, I'm willing to show that I'm chasing greatness." No, you're chasing that paycheck because you're not getting paid like that. And then I'm gonna further illustrate that point one last time by using the way Terrence Crawford moved after the Spence fight. He saw more money than he ever saw in his whole career.
Yes,
in one fight, he cleared more money than he ever did in his whole career. But he saw something better out there. So why risk me fighting him and he being a better? He knew that dude wasn't in the right physical condition in that fight. He knew that, and that's why he took it easy on him too, because he could have really beat him worse than he did. But that's also why I ain't trying to give him a run. Because what if he is right the next time around? Then I don't get no more bread. But what if I go get Canelo? I could take a loss. I could possibly win, but I'm definitely gonna get broke off. And if I beat him, then I get to so I get to retire like really, really sick because I got paid in my last 2 fights. So he shows you that there that 1% or that 2 to 5% that Al Booker said is like that the lifestyle that they get to live because of how they have impacted the sales, how they have impacted TV shares, and how they have impacted the sport of boxing, where people call them out or look for them or want to see them lose. So there it is.
Yeah. We got it. What's up, Ant?
Oh, my bad. I didn't even know.
Living in America.
I'm going to go on mute. Let my man Ant talk.
Yeah.
No, you ain't got to go on mute, man. I was listening to you.
Yeah, looking at just.
I'll say this: it would behoove these guys to take the Junior Bridgman approach. Junior Bridgman was in the NBA. He had like 400,000 career earnings. He only made about 400,000 over the span of his career, and he played for about a decade in the NBA.
Yeah,
but he took the money that he earned and he put it into franchising. The man owns I don't know how many Wendy's, how many like Taco Bells, but he owns quite a few franchises to the point where he's worth over $400 million today. And we're talking about a cat that played in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
And you also look at some of these other boxers like Danny Garcia, from my understanding, he's done pretty good with his money. Mikey Garcia, even Julian Williams, another guy where if you look on his Instagram, he's huge in the real estate. He's got a pretty sizable portfolio. Tevin Farmer is another guy where Tevin Farmer, I don't think this guy has to box because he's got pretty good money outside of boxing. And I would assume that Terrence Crawford, he'd be in the same position because although he probably saw a career high versus Errol Spence, this is a guy who's been getting millions of dollars. You had Bob Arum coming out here making statements saying that he was losing money on Terrence Crawford fights. Yeah. And then I remember also hearing Timothy Bradley saying, man, you guys would be surprised at how much Shakur Stevenson was getting at Top Rank, which is part of the reason why they tried to devalue him on the way out. I think the whole thing about the fans throwing fighters away, I think it's a little bit overstated. I've actually been ruminating on this for quite some time now. The fans, yeah, we might talk our crap. We might down guys on a panel or on social media, but when it comes down to it, if you come back and you look strong in your next performance, even if you just give a valiant effort, you ain't even got to win. We looking at you like, all right, I can respect that.
Yeah.
We take our cues from the promotional entities. So if you guys aren't willing to put these guys back in there, then we're looking at them like, hey, they must be chopped liver. Case in point, Angelo Leo, he lost one fight to
Cool Boy.
Next thing you know, he's fighting on the pro box circuit. Yep. And then he does well down there. then he gets picked up by Top Rank,
Yep.
and now he's the IBF champion
Way
all
back.
over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what these promotional entities got to stop doing. They got to stop devaluing these guys, so we don't look at them through that lens. It's no different than, you see somebody in the way in which they treat their family or the way in which they treat their significant other. It's like, hell, why the hell do I gotta respect them if you don't even respect
That's
them?
right. Yep.
Or somebody who's like a slovenly person. It's like, yo, if you're like a slob and you don't respect yourself, why do I gotta respect you? And I feel like the promotional companies, they do the same with these fighters. It's like, if you're telling us this guy is a bum, air quotes, because you sent him down to Pro Box, like, he's not even worthy of being on the prelims of a PBC card right now. You're just gonna completely just relegate this guy to what many people would consider to be a substandard promotional a company, and now he's fighting on YouTube, air quotes. So how are we supposed to feel about this guy if you're willing to just throw him away like that? Errol Spence right now. It's like, now you got people really looking like, damn, he must be damaged goods if he can't get a fight.
Perfect example. Yeah.
If you're willing to throw him away after one fight, it's like,
yeah,
how are we supposed to feel about him? Like, damn, maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe he is damaged. He is damaged goods, man.
Yeah, we look at it like
he can't get a fight.
That's right. Yeah. Agreed.
Now, I agree with that as well too. I think it also goes hand in hand with one another. Like you said, they set the standard and tone for how the fans will perceive them. But the friends also be very, very gung ho on the fact that they don't want to see this fight. They want to see this fight. They see this fight, and I think everything feeds off of one another. So they listen to this and they got now the reasons why doing that. But the bottom line is, like you said, when you do get your money, it's what you do with your money. And Terrence Crawford has been very smart with his money. No doubt about that. Junior Bridgman, extremely smart with his money. Like, they was talking about highest paid basketball players, Money in Mass, they put him as the highest player to make the money outside of Jordan, I believe. I know Jamal Mashburn is another player that's doing really, really big with
he's done well for Mashburn.
Yeah,
Is he still playing, Jamal?
No, hell no. He's been retired for over a decade now. But he's been doing good things with his money.
I was thinking he was talking about somebody else. Yeah, Jamal.
He's been doing good things with his money. And that's a major key, because this thing ain't going to last forever. And also cultivating other skills that will allow you to transition.
Yeah. And you're still relatively young when you leave the game, when you leave the sport.
And the cool thing about them, as I said, especially with Jamal Mashburn, if you want to sit down and have the conversation, he'll tell you exactly what you should do. He is. I remember he came up on the Knuckleheads. What's the Knuckleheads or the All the Smoke podcast? One of the two. We was talking about how, like, one old head that he talked about what I think Adrian Danley said. Adrian Danley out there be on the corners as a what you call crossing guard and everything like that. He said the way he dressed, everything he would do, you wouldn't think that the man got a lot of money. He said, but he made wise investments. His investments that made him so much money that he truly don't have to walk. He just works because he wants to.
Yeah.
And he does things like that because it helps keep him busy and motivated and connected with.
And probably get to interact with the community and stuff.
So that's a valid point. I mean, I just think that like we have to get to the point where we start leveling the playing field all the way around, and especially in between fighters and those who put on the fights, because they can put on a promotion, but if they ain't got the people that the people want to see, then who's gonna tune in? Who's gonna show up? A lot of people come to see certain names, whether it's to win or to lose. They come to see certain names.
I know.
And to that point, I speak to Tank Davis and his crew, especially after hearing some information of late. If people don't want you to win, they would rather see you lose, and they want you to fight people that they believe will beat you. I say make those fights, because that's what happened with Mayweather. Mayweather took advantage of this. You just spoke of Ali. Ali had a lot of people who didn't like him. They wanted to see him lose. So they would tune in.
Yeah.
If he fought somebody that they thought was going to lose, hell, his own team thought he was going to lose against Foreman. The whole world was
Yeah.
tuning in.
Remember that? Yeah, I was just talking about
Take
that.
advantage of that. Ride that wave, man. Ride that wave and capitalize on the fact that these people really, really would love to see you lose. They're going to tune in to see it.
Of course.
Push for those fights, man. Give people the opportunity to see you either triumph or hopefully they see you what they believe of you. But make them either believers or make them prove them right. But give them the fights, man, because you know this is the time that you have, and you can do the most with it, especially in the time where we got a dude that is he's a freaking what you call it a YouTube success out there fighting and bringing in huge gates. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, use it while you got it, man. Because you
Yeah,
ain't
while
always,
you got it.
you know, because it's gonna be gone one day. Then you go back and say, "What if?" It's too late then, you know.
1,000%, and 1,000%, 1,000%. And I could also understand how some of these guys get caught up in the whirlwind, looking at your contemporaries or looking at the guys that you feel are your contemporaries, and they're at the top of the totem pole in regards to pay. You're like, damn, I should be doing this. So then you even want to pick up the lifestyle. You ain't making what this guy's making, but you want to get the chain like him, the car like him, the girl like him. Like all these guys, man, their girlfriends all look like the same person.
You're right. You're right.
That's a fact, bro. That's a big fact.
Jewelry. I'm like, man, it's like literally, you know, we seeing these guys try to keep up with the Joneses in real time. So I understand that, you know, like the pressure. As far as making sure everybody gets paid, I think the only way to do that, we had this conversation yesterday, T-Hill. It might have been the day before. But the main thing is prioritizing the promotion of boxing or a particular event. It could just be a day, like Boxing After Dark, Friday Night Fights, Showbox, The Next Generation, so on and so forth, to where people are tuned in for the show. And the fighters, the names themselves, are just the icing on the cake. But the cake is boxing itself. And if you happen to find somebody on one of these programs that you like, then, you know, you support that person and you champion them. But now, you know, with so much investment going into, you know, one particular fighter, that's where we're going to have these huge disparities in pay grade. Because, man, I spent so much money on you. And then here's the other thing, too. Like, when it comes to names and notoriety, not just in terms of ticket sales as far as capacity, but also the going rate. Like, you look at the ticket sales for a damn pro box fight, right? And then look at the cost, the ticket cost of a pro box fight in comparison to the ticket cost for a Tank fight or a Canelo fight. You're talking astronomical numbers, man. There's a huge gap there. So the bigger the name, the more they can charge for a ticket. And then not only that, but now you got a bigger venue too. You're not fighting in one of these 4,000 seat theaters or gymnasiums. We're talking about arenas and stadiums.
Yep.
And then from arenas and stadiums, now you got a wide array of prices you can charge. People want to sit up front, you tax them out the wazoo, thousands of dollars to sit ringside. And for the people all the way up at the top in the nosebleeds, they still might be paying $100 or better to sit up there. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, somebody said some seats for the Tank fighters is some tickets for $6,000, man.
Yeah. Well, that's an absolute fact. And
like can buy a new car for that damn near a down payment.
But see, that's why we call Ant McQueen the value, man, because he gives nothing but valuable information, man. That's absolutely true. Like, we're living in a copycat society. I mean, you can look at it on TikTok and all other video outfits. There's always some new trend that's following, and everybody's doing the same thing. So, you know, I don't fault them. I definitely don't fault them for trying to do whatever they can to secure what they feel is, you know, they're just doing for what they put their bodies through. I would never never tell anybody what they're worth or how much I believe they are worth. That's truly up to them. I just think that, like you said, he said it best. I think that we should highlight boxing and get behind boxing. And I think you leave those who are even in the sport could even help, especially the bigger names, because if they're tied into it, their fans will tie into it as well. It can benefit these people as well.
That's right.
Endorsement is key in all things. I mean, hell, they put on fights because of endorsements. Commercials, Super Bowls, all because they want. That's why they wanted so many commercials during the Super Bowl, because they're paying for them to put that on television.
Al Booger, he put the description in where Ant said they all look alike. Al Booger said light skin, straight hair.
Yeah, Al Booger, that's my guy. He's spot on though, man.
That was so true.
Also, Kaz, man, we had Kensul Love come up in here, and so did Jarrell Hadi. I seen him up in here.
And Kensul Love won in the building. Yeah, they late today, but they here. What else y'all got? We're gonna give it.
They had that press conference. I don't know if Tank came on, but I know they were doing the undercard.
That's still going on now, isn't it, T.Hill?
I believe so, because Tank didn't come on, so I think they were waiting for him.
Was what's his name there out there yet? Lamont? No.
Nah, I didn't see Lamont. I didn't see either. They after Puello, not after Puello, but after Russell and Valenzuela, it just stopped for a quick second.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check that out. But yeah, what else y'all got? Anything else before we I see Just Do This started. He started kind of late. I was waiting for him to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna let my main man Ant McQueen, the Value, close this out.
What else you got, Ant, before we get out of town today? Ant must have dropped off. T-Hill, got anything else? Before we get out, we're gonna be talking about Joe Louis.
I want to remind people that we are on the tail end of the weekend. I mean the weekday.
Joe Louis tomorrow, T-Hill.
Joe Louis is coming up, so you guys want to tune in and catch on to the Brown Bomber, the man who changed boxing and the scope of it for a long, long, long time. And we also want to change our perception on boxing and all together, because my man Cat Sports comes here to give you nothing but the history of boxing. That's why he's the box historian. We also have this weekend coming up, my main man Pacheco going against Stevie Nelson. Tune in to see that. That should be action-packed. On that card is an up-and-coming fighter. Many people know him, Andy Cruz. He's looking to further cement his claim as to being a major player at the 35-pound division. And, man, you know what? Whenever you feel like boxing ain't giving you what you need, or you not getting what you need from boxing, you can always tune over at 5 o'clock and tune into my live Just Do Boxing, giving you 4 o'clock, giving you that good boxing knowledge and that good boxing talk that Just Do, if you would say. So tune on over to Just Do and let's get it. Shout out to my main man Ant McQueen.
T-Hill.
Shout out to my main man Cash Sports.
Appreciate
and I'll leave you with Ant McQueen. He's back.
Oh man, I'm excited for Diego Pacheco, Steven Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm extremely excited about that, yo.
Me too. I like that.
And I'm also excited about, what's my man's name? Fulton versus Figueroa, the rematch.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Oh wait. Which one is that?
Be interesting. Yes.
Fulton and Figueroa, they're gonna have the rematch.
Yeah, they
is that on the tank card?
No, I think it's gonna be on
the Benavides card.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be on that February 1st.
Yeah, that's the big one. The 20th.
That's 2 weeks from now. Okay.
Yeah. First. That's
I'm excited about that, yo, because I was rewatching it this morning, and I was like, yo, I went on a deep dive, bro. I ended up searching for meaning and definition. Like, what is the difference between power and strength? And the reason I say that is because I was just noticing Brandon Figueroa, he's got a 76% KO ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Fulton isn't necessarily known as a big puncher. He doesn't really have much power.
Mm-mm.
But I was noticing every time those guys came together, they locked horns. In the clinch specifically,
that's right.
Fulton looked a lot stronger, and he was able to push him back and walk him back consistently.
That's a good
and when he did that,
strength and power.
That's when he had his most success offensively. And I was noticing, I was like, man, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, there definitely is separation.
What did you come up with between the separation
of
between
power and strength? It's not the same.
What did you
thing.
come up with, man, on that?
But that's a conversation for another show, maybe for a casual score or something like that.
But that is an interesting one,
because I know my man Cass got to get up out of here.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But salute to everybody for showing up. For my man Cass Sports, the box historian, boxing in the States, North Dakota.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and with that, we are gone. Thomas Hill and McQueen. This is Cass Sports. Everybody have a great afternoon. See y'all around the JBT streets. We're going off, not coming on. Sorry. Everybody have a great afternoon.